Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another podcast week with the Anime for a Podcast. We are now reviewing episode 20. I realized actually this week that this was I think I mentioned this before about I guess reviewing both part 1 and 2 at the same time. But as I was watching, I was like, it's probably best we don't. Of how late and how late in the episode we start talking. So this is a good medium. And I think we only got maybe 4 episodes left. I want to say. I think. Of season 1
Yep.
anyway.
Is there more than one season?
There's gonna be more than one season. I already said the season 2 has already been confirmed.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember
Oh,
now.
it's coming out in October this year.
That's cool. So we're gonna do reviews of The Office after this one. Is that what you said?
I said nothing of the sort. Also, I don't have access to that show, or I won't, and probably next month
there's
because
got to be a there's got to be a pirated version somewhere out there.
I don't care about it enough to not support piracy. I'm just gonna. I'm not sure what this is gonna show up in the next few months. I don't want to incriminate myself right here. You, on the other hand, incriminate yourself all day long.
You know, the AIs are watching all the time, scanning all of YouTube's videos for incriminating evidence.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 more episodes left. The second half of the Meiji Swordsman romantic story, Act 0, which is actually what we're reviewing here. We're reviewing part 1. And after the second part, we got 3 more episodes left. Resurrection of the Wolf, Wolf's Fang, and then Meiji 11, May 4th. Huh. Dang, this show ended December 15th of last year. I still can't wait for the next bit. I've actually really been looking forward to. I'm a little bit upset that I had to wait to see this arc, the Kyoto incident, but it'd be worth the wait. Who the heck is Risa May? So I'm looking actual English voice actors right now.
Okay.
Just to see. I don't recognize this. This one is Kairu's English VA. I don't even know. I never even heard of it. I never even heard it, so I don't even know if I even recognize her. So she's done a couple of shows, none of these that I've seen. Oh, she was in a Full Metal Alchemist movie? It was a recent one too. Revenge of Scar, that came out in 2022. I don't remember hearing about this. Huh. Yeah, she doesn't have a huge bibliography of what she's done, but some of these shows are more recent, so she's probably got a really new VA. Yeah, I never heard of her before. Oh, that explains everything. She hasn't been active for more than 4 years. That's cool. Really cool. So I'm actually kind of curious with the merging of Funimation and Crunchyroll. I'm surprised that the dub hadn't shown up on the website yet. Let me. Howard Wang. Hey, Red Avenger. We're just starting. You didn't miss anything.
Hey, sure.
Okay, so the guy who voices Kenshin. Hidenori he was in Tokyo Ghoul. I watched that, but I don't recognize any of the names he was voicing. Oh, he was in Dragon Ball Super. He was Mojito, and this person called Panchia. English VA.
Mojito? Isn't that a drink?
I don't know. I don't drink. I wouldn't know. Oh, he was in Camphor, huh? Oh, he was in Fire Force. And I'm really trying to see if I like. I don't. I mean, I'm not watching the dubs, so it just really doesn't matter. But it's at least nice to know what some of these people have done in the past. Oh, he was born in 1993. He's 30 years old now. Huh. All right. I guess with that was an interesting little lesson there that I didn't speak much on. Okay, we're here to review we reviewed episode 20, Meiji Swordsman Romantic Story, Act 0, Part 1. The episode pretty much begins actually kind of unconventional, or not, I guess not unconventional. See that the gang is like drinking tea in front of the Kamiya dojo, and then Kenshin brings up the fact that he hasn't had tea this tasty before in a long while. He kind of contemplates how long it's been. Karo kind of says like, "Oh, come on, it couldn't have been that long," and then he goes on to say that they can remember the time, and then everybody else is like wondering, we haven't heard a story from when you were like wandering. Which I guess is interesting that it's kind of brought up now. Is like that we haven't heard anything about like what Kenshin had been doing since he'd been wandering. Get this episode here where we get the first taste of what it was like for him when he was wandering as a Ronin. I guess in the early days. Kind of like he may have actually, at least in the flashback, he kind of may have just started wandering, or maybe it's been a year or so. I don't even know what the timetable is for when he actually started wandering. But for instance, Sonosuke wants to like hear an interesting story. Ayako wants a story where he defeats a bad guy. Gumi, I forgot what she asked for, or if she asked for anything. Did Megumi ask for anything in a story, or does she just not say anything about it?
What did you say?
Did Megumi have like a request for like type of story that she wanted Kenshin to tell, or did she not say anything?
Megumi said that she wanted the story to be fun. Sanosuke said unusual, and the kid said where he beats the villains. Yahiko.
Okay, I think we covered everything. But yeah, they asked for a story. Kenshin thinks about it for a while, much longer than I thought they were going to have him think about it, and then we suddenly fade to the past. Get a precise.
Kind of like if you do Wayne's World now, you could be like.
Wait, what?
If you do a Wayne's World, like fade to the past, it would be like. That's how they do flashbacks in Wayne's World.
Oh yes, the infamous. I don't know why it's infamous, but apparently it's infamous now. But yeah, we fade to the past. Let's try and get like an actual. How do you get they give an actual time period? This needs. Needs to get to it really quick. I guess they just said the Bakumasu. I thought they were gonna actually give like a time of the year for it. The Bakumasu period. And Red says party on Wayne.
Party on Garth.
really should try to give Supernatural a go. There's a character in there called Garth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a really interesting character. He doesn't really show up to like much later though. Like a lot happens before Garth shows up, but that character is really good. Like I really enjoyed his character in that show. But back to what we were talking about before, because I steered us off on that tangent. But we go back in time. We see is the Bakamasa period. Or I guess I'm only assuming that Kenshin, like apparently at this point, the legend of the Batusai had already spread around, much of Japan, based on the way they talk about it. But Kenshin is walking, and then a rickshaw nearly runs him over. Kenshin dodges out of the way at the last minute. The rickshaw stops, and then the guy driving it is concerned about Kenshin. Kenshin seems okay. He seems like I don't know what's going on. Like he kind of seems really out of it. Then the town that we're in that Kenshin decided to place us in is Yokohama. Yokohama. I'm trying to see if I'm trying to pronounce that correctly, but Doc here has quite a few notes. Well, not a few notes, but like a block of text about Yokohama. So I guess I'm just gonna let him take over real quick.
Sure.
Do your usual spiel.
Yokohama was one of the first Japanese ports opened to foreign trade in 1859. Yokohama is home to hang on. It was, by the time of Kenshin, the population was growing really, really fast. Between 1880 and 1890, the population went from 73,630 to 132,627, which is almost double. It was an open port in 1859. It was the home of many firsts in Japanese in the Meiji period, including the first foreign trading port in Chinatown. The first Chinatown is kind of cool. European-style sport venues in the 1860s came in. The first English-language newspaper in Japan in 1861. The first confectionery and beer manufacturing in 1865. A daily newspaper in 1870. Gas-powered street lamps in the 1870s. Railway station in 1872. And a power plant in 1882. One less, because there was a lot of United States and UK people like stopping by and visiting or living or staying at this port town. Under pressure from the United States and United Kingdom, the Tokugawa government built a commercial sex district, which opened on November 10th of 1859. It had 6 brothels and 200 indentured sex workers. The area of Yokohama with the highest concentration of brothels was known as Blood Town. So it's kind of an interesting, richly, storied place that was very significant at that time because the population was going out of control, and now it's got millions of people living in it. It's like a major town now, but
yes, a lot of seamen.
Yes, all sorts of seamen. Mm-hmm. And you know what's long and hard and full of seamen?
Dikes.
A submarine.
I hate that. I hate that as a joke. I hate that as a joke because it's actually really well structured. That's kind of why I hate it.
So that's what I have to say about it. I thought it was a really interesting town now.
Yeah.
Or city now.
Yeah, as we're in Yokohama, where I guess this entire the Kenshin story is going to take place. After Kenshin ends up narrowly escaping being killed, there is a woman on the ground. Actually, after the rickshaw dude, who I'll find his name out real quick because I completely forgot it. He introduces himself to Kenshin. Dan Kichi. He is a rickshaw driver. Kenshin, well, he doesn't say his name, but he introduces himself to Dan Kichi as a Veroni. Apparently, Dan Kichi doesn't completely understand, quote unquote, because he kind of says Roro. Like that's like a new word to him, I'm guessing. and
Mhm.
they kind of take notice that like he kind of takes notice that Kenshin's carrying a sword, and I guess it's actually a good indicator of time period. This sword abolishment act has actually been enacted. Um, and I'm guessing it must be pretty close to when he first enacted it, maybe. Because there's also something said later on past the scene with the rich doctor, who we'll get to in a minute. Um, and his thugs saying that he must be impersonating a samurai. I guess you kind of looked this up. Apparently, impersonations of samurai was a common thing in the 1870s. Let me just get, because apparently there was also in the sword abolishment edict. It banned farmers and merchants for impersonating samurai and wearing swords in public.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently there was a a law in place to prevent people from doing that. Well, it's kind of interesting to bring that up. That he might have they look at Kenshin, they think he's trying to impersonate a samurai. Um, After that, they go to the guy goes to the little girl who's crying over her mother, who's apparently on the ground, really sick. I'm not sure how sick she is, but she's on the ground, like without moving. And then he consoles the little girl, saying, "Don't worry, I brought a person." And this person comes off the off the rickshaw, who I don't even remember seeing was on the rickshaw, comes out of the rickshaw and is wearing they say this person is a Western doctor. They say he is I guess he's gonna help this family out. This person's wearing remember it's all black, and it's got like what I think is a plague doctor's mask. So I'm gonna assume that it is because it's got the beak and everything. It's just white. Uh, this Western doctor says that I'm gonna need to mix some medicines together. So bring this woman to my hotel room, and we'll do it there. And as they're about to do this, as I mentioned before, the doctor, the fat doctor, ends up getting involved because apparently he owns the entire town, and he makes sure he only like cures or gives people medicine that has the ability to pay. Uh, Again, we have another scummy character who is designed just for you to hate. You don't want to punch him in his face.
He's so shameless too.
He just goes on to spill like, "Don't you dare do this, especially if you're a Western doctor, because like the moment you do this, all medicine is gonna start going down in price." I'm like, "Are you serious? This woman's dying." And Prince says that she deserves to die because she can't afford to get medicine. Like,
That's how it is today too.
I mean, for people who have insurance, it's not too bad. It's still expensive regardless, but yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's
Not
like
everybody has insurance though.
I mean, for most people, they have the Obamacare thing. I'm not gonna get to it. I mean, yeah, it's still pretty bad regardless of what's going on. I don't even know if we could ever survive on free healthcare because I'm not sure how the other countries do it in reality. But yeah,
Well, if other countries are doing it, we can do it too. But you know,
I don't know how they're doing it because there's no idea of like who's funding the healthcare system for them to do that.
everybody. I think it comes from taxes and things like that, as does everything that makes the government.
I don't know if I want to be paying any more in taxes. I'm already telling them to take everything the max they're supposed to take, so I don't have to pay them back for it. I barely get anything back even now, but yeah. But like this doctor is a pretty much scummy, and he pretty much threatens the Western doctor, and saying, "Don't you do it? Like, and if you actually do heal her, we're gonna beat her to like we're gonna make sure we're gonna beat her before you can actually heal her, so it's not like feasible to cure her." Kenshin gets involved, and first the thugs that were with this doctor all think Kenshin is apparently playing swordsman, and they soon learn really quick that he's not because Kenshin jumps around, starts dodging a lot of starts dodging a lot of attacks. There's a giant guy with, I guess, a two-sided club that starts swinging on him, and he dodges that. He knocks him. He pretty much not knocks him out, but he pretty much dodges one. The club goes swinging into the other guy who's holding a knife on the opposite side of Kenshin. They're thinking they surrounded him. And obviously they didn't. Uh, Dan Kichi, I think is his name, ends up like using his opportunity to go and takes the little girl and the woman in his rickshaw and takes them to the hotel with the mysterious doctor.
Why does Kenshin run from the thugs? It looked like he had them all completely taken on, and then
I mean, it probably wasn't worth it. Because Kenshin was really only getting involved just to help out the help the gentleman and then help out the two civilians that were in trouble.
Yeah, he didn't get the biggest and strongest thug, the one that was like the most aggressive, and that's disappointing.
It probably wasn't worth it. Kenshin probably thought it wasn't worth it. That's how I'm gonna explain it. I mean, yeah, they're still around to come back and get him back later, but so far it doesn't look like that's gonna happen, because like later on we see that the doctor says that his men are not gonna be able to beat Kenshin. So it seems obvious that he's not gonna have those guys come after him. But then again, those guys might disobey him and try to come after Kenshin later. Who knows? I mean, Kenshin's, like he said before, Kenshin's got it handled. I think it's one of those situations like it's just not a battle he's willing to fight, because he's only just trying to help get those ladies medicine, get that lady medicine, which he successfully does. After Kenshin, goes away to goes with them, and I guess to see if they're protected. They hit the rickshaw, and then we cut away to the hospital. Not the hospital, geez. Cut away to the hotel. Didn't mean hospital. Cut away to the hotel, and then apparently the lady is, I guess, got the medicine, and she's just gonna take her some time to heal. Pretty much Kenshin and everybody is like thanking the doctor for their help, for this person's help. Just scrubbing through real quick. Oh wow, there was more bugs there than I initially thought there was.
There was a lot.
I only thought there was like 3 or 2. Jesus. Okay, I saw scrubbing through them. Then the doctor offers Kenshin some tea and I guess a pastry. I'm gonna say, they go to I guess they go to like the dining area in the hotel. They go outside because the masked person says that it'd be nice to have some tea outside. Kenshin ends up like passing by, I guess what appears to be a butler, I guess, or he's acting like a butler. The guy notices Kenshin's sword. He gets excited, saying, "Oh, it's a samurai. I came to Japan for this specific purpose, to fight a samurai." It's like, okay, clearly he's a foreigner. And then Kenshin notices he has a sword too, and he just looks at him as he crosses paths, as he goes sits down in a chair with the party he came with. It was interesting that they have another like swordsman who is actually not from Japan. I wasn't thinking too much of the other like I guess skilled swordsmen, outside of Japan, inside Japan, but it makes sense. I mean, practicing of the sword isn't something specific to the eastern part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to look up his blade that we saw at the end of the episode. I couldn't find it. But after that,
why do you think he was so uncomfortable eating that Western food?
I think it's just the concept of he doesn't know what it is, and this is like the time period in which like Western everything is like fisting itself into Japan.
Yeah.
Sorry if that's really a violent explanation, but it's like, it's probably one of those, I don't know what this is. And the view of the Western world isn't all that great anyway, I think, at this point either. So it's like anything from that part of the world is probably gonna like, I don't know if I want to eat this. I mean, Don Kichi eats it happily though, but he just seems to be happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, he waits until the other guy eats it first, and then he like very carefully like tries one himself.
He eats it, he takes the tea, and then the masked person says like, "Oh, so you can't you're mentally he's like I guess you're mentally exhausted because you can smell flowers but you can't smell the scent of the tea. That was interesting. Like, huh?
Yeah,
I guess another thing too is like Kenshin. I guess we're assuming. Well, I'm assuming that this must be pretty close to when he first started traveling as a wandering swordsman. Maybe he's still trying to like work through everything he's done in the past. I'm not sure how close this is to when he first started wandering, but maybe it's close enough. Because Kenshin here is kind of different to compared to how he is now.
yeah. The pastries are sweet and delicious.
Yeah, they have you go past. I just want to see the swordsman really quick. I guess I want to point out too, like he is that swordsman, that Western swordsman, has like a very distinctive look. Like it is meant to catch your attention. Like a lot of things in this, like, I guess, Westernized in this show, it's like it's meant to catch your attention on purpose. I was like, he kind of reminds me of like Genichimaru from Bleach. If anybody's seen that show, he reminds me of that guy, and it's really creepy. But
Why
yeah,
is that?
I don't know. He's just really off-putting. I think it's probably on purpose, but at the same time, it's like one of those characters like it's really off-putting. I'll say another thing interesting too is like Kenshin managed to also see that it was a Western sword. Like I don't know, I guess how distinctive a Western blade is to a Japanese and Eastern sword, but it was interesting that Kenshin was able to pick was able to immediately pick out that it wasn't a sword from like Japan. You would think that somebody from Japan who probably or the eastern part of the world has never left or left to see Europe. I would think. I don't know if he's ever seen any other part of the world. Maybe he has, but I'm gonna assume that he didn't. It's kind of weird that Kenshin was able to see that the sword was not like he didn't immediately think that maybe it was a different type of sword that was made in Japan. He immediately called out that it was not it was a Western sword. And maybe it isn't like that, like maybe it isn't that impressive, you know, but it's like one of those weird things. Like if I was from Japan, I don't think I would have immediately said that sword was from Japan. I just think that sword was weird looking.
Know about swords, wouldn't you?
I guess a samurai, but I'd say, I don't know, like would a samurai know the difference between a east and west sword?
They would know what's not an Eastern sword.
Or would you immediately assume that the sword came from Europe or some part of the West?
Maybe. I mean, the way the hilt was, I don't think Japanese have hilts like that.
I guess it's not insane to assume to think that Kenshin would know. I just thought it was kind of interesting that he didn't question or wonder what kind of blade that was. I mean, I guess also the guard of the sword too was also very ornate. It wasn't, you know, utilitarian.
Yeah.
As most of his guards are. Unfortunately, they always break. That Lord Swordsmith every time Kenshin comes like, I'm gonna need another hilt. What are you doing to my swords, Kenshin? You're busting the guard hilt, but you're not busting the sword.
Mm-hmm.
That's also the impressive thing. Like he is not breaking his sword. It's just the thing attached to the sword. But let's see really quick as they're eating. I just want to check something really quick. Oh, I guess Danmachi mentions like because early on Danmachi mentioned apparently if you lived most of the time if you lived in Yokoharu or wait Yokomaru? Yeah, Yokohama. Sorry, geez, Yokohama for 3 years. You are a native. What was Yokohama that you said that? I know you said you lived in Yokohama for 3 days. You're a native Yokohama, and he seems to like really, like you know, spread this definition pretty much everywhere. As long as you've been staying in there for 3 days, you are a native. But they bring up the foreign settlement. You know, it was like this place was suddenly created. And he enjoys living here. I guess he enjoys like the very I guess easygoing here, even though like that doctor, for instance, seems to really want to he really wants to jack up the prices. As see later on, he really does not appreciate Kenshin showing up and the foreign doctor as well. Showing out nowhere, it's probably gonna like mess up his profit margins. We talk about the settlement, and then they I guess play rock paper scissors to see who's gonna ride inside the rickshaw, who's gonna pull it. I thought it was kind of funny that they all decided to play rock paper scissors, and they keep on throwing the same. They all throw the same symbol every time. They play once and they all throw paper. They play again. They all throw a rock, and they play again. They all play scissors.
It was pretty funny.
It was like, what in the world? Well, that was useless. And then they say, well, this is a problem. And then they draw straws to see who's gonna ride in the rickshaw. Kenshin pulls the one that lets him ride in the rickshaw, and then the masked person pulls the one that has them pull the rickshaw, and apparently Dankichi's gonna walk next to him, and they have a little funny thing here, which is kind of more telling for the character later in the episode. Character's struggling to pull the rickshaw. I thought that was interesting, and I kind of already knew what they were gonna pull earlier on in the episode when the character first showed up. It was kind of obvious, but the character had trouble pulling the rickshaw, and then as they started touring around Yokohama, you see that they're all walking around, checking in the sights and everything like that, because Dankichi said that he was going to show them all the sights around. And then they do all that, they have a good time, and then it's nighttime, and they go back to the hotel. Dankichi drops them off, and he says that, I'll see you later, as he, walks off to where he's going to go. I'm guessing he's going to go back to his home or where he's living. And then, the masked person says that, you come up to my room, because, like, getting a room at this time of night would be impossible. Little things progress, and, Kenshin is inside the hotel room and notices that there's a height difference between him and the masked stranger. And
before that, they mention, as they're going in and doing the tour, they mention Hepburn, which is a reference to Jane Curtis Hepburn, who was very influential in this city. He relocated to the newly opened treaty port of Yokohama, opening his first clinic in April 1861 at the Sokoji Temple. He was the first Christian missionary to take up residence close to the newly opened treaty port. He adopted a new system for the romanization of the Japanese language developed by the Society for the Romanization of the Japanese Alphabet. The system is widely known as the Hepburn romanization because Hepburn's dictionary popularized it. He also contributed to the translation of the Bible into Japanese. So he was super influential.
Also something about the Bible I could not read fast enough because I was trying to take everything else in. Yeah.
He brought medicine, he brought education, he brought religion into Japan. Go ahead. I just wanted to make sure we hit that little part about Hepburn before we move too far on.
No problem. I mean, this episode's just about to end, actually. And then Kenshin goes inside the room with the person, and then he notices there's a height discrepancy. First red flag.
Mm-hmm.
And then apparently the masked stranger does something that apparently continues to the end of the episode where where this person's like, no, like, there's a height difference because, well, what's the exact wording that this person used? Here it is. I never noticed that there was a height difference. Jeez. This is an entire foot. Your height seems to have gotten shorter. It's just you Westerners look small when there's a ceiling overhead.
And he buys it.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna stuff out the enemy world real quick and actually, It's really it. I think it's more well known now than it is a long time ago, but there is a difference between at least Asians and everybody else. They're smaller and they're shorter. Um, this is something I kind of researched into years ago. Was like, yeah, there is definitely size difference, and I'm not sure what it's attributed to. I honestly thought it's maybe because like unlike unlike over here in the West, like there's a lot of varieties of meat that everybody likes to eat a lot. And I'm not saying that it isn't the case over there in Japan, but I think a lot of diets probably include more fish than any other meat. Like I think meat and other hamburgers and stuff like that are part more of a delicacy that they maybe have every now and then. I think like a lot of their dishes are mostly like fish based or fish forward. Unlike over here where it's like mostly beef forward, chicken
Well,
forward.
the reason for that is probably Japan's terrain. Japan is very mountainous, and it doesn't, and most of the flat area has been turned into cities. It's so expensive to go golfing in Japan on a Japanese golf course that it's actually cheaper to fly to the United States and golf there. So I would imagine that a cat like beef would have to be exported. Like I'm sure they have a very small, if any, beef industry, like in Japan.
I mean, it's probably more that I like that's really contributing. Like you said, the terrain, for instance. I don't know. I just kind of noticed because, I mean, it's one of the things. Like it's like if you really go into clothing sizes, like I don't think there is a like I think the biggest is large. I think, but like they have smaller sizes, and it's one of those things like where like the difference in body type between Eastern women and Western women is vastly different. It's like Eastern women don't get too Eastern people, I should say. Just let me back up. Let me just back my entire sentence before I walk into before I dig myself a deeper hole. Like just like we get bigger over here than they do over there. Now, granted, I'm noticing that I think that trend is starting to even out on both ends. I think it's like it's starting to become, it's the desired body type is starting to change. I think. But for the most part, women are curvier over here versus over there in the eastern part of the world, I think. Because I know I hear all the time from some Twitch streamers about like how it's very hard for them to get like, if they're especially really well endowed over there in the east, it's really hard for them to get bras in their size because it's like apparently the words I heard was that the cuter ones are smaller. They're not like when they go up in size, they don't get the cute designs, whatever, that they want. That's what I was hearing. I hear this is a huge problem for women who live over there that are more well endowed than your average Eastern woman. But yeah. But back to, I will say I do find it funny that he's like, it's just you. He's like you're short. It's just you.
Yeah.
Let's just look small when there's like, I just find it kind of funny, and this continues throughout the rest of this episode because after that the masked person decides to go get changed in the other room, in the bedroom. They close the door, and then I also want to point out that I'm surprised Kenshin didn't catch on that the fact that this person kind of had a pretty high voice for a male, like because they look like they're kind of the same age, kind of from the height.
Comically struggled to pull the rickshaw, and yeah, there was a lot of.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that kind of like, you should really picked up on this earlier. People will probably already know what I'm about to get to. After this person goes into the other room to change, another red flag. There's a knock on the door, and this only happened one other time in the show. And it still caught me off guard. The kitchen opens the door and the butler starts speaking English. And I sat there first was very confused. I was like, it's happening again. It's like is the Japanese and English border starting to dissolve? That was always speaking English, and he's like, message for Dr. Elder, which I guess I forgot to mention that this is what they've been calling this masked person the entire episode, is Dr. Elder. Um, like messages for Dr. Elder, message for Dr. Elder, and I gotta say, I can't really repeat how it sounded, but it was very off-putting. It didn't sound natural.
I think I didn't even notice that he spoke English.
Oh yeah, he spoke English. It was one of those. It's clear that they was probably learning English for this role, and they needed to get it probably really quickly. But it was very off-putting. It wasn't. It didn't sound like it was like their second language, like their second learned language. Uh, I was just really caught off guard by it because I was like, "That's." I think it's the second time it's happened because the first time it was Gatling. He just kept on yelling Gatling in English. This is kind of funny. Like in both instances that English was shown, it was around like scummy. It was around an episode where they featured a scummy person who was in it for the money. In both instances, I don't know how I feel about that. But after that, Kenshin closes the door and says that there is a message for you, and he's like, "I'm gonna come in," and then the person's like, "Oh wait," and it's revealed, not to anybody's surprise, that Dr. Elder is in fact a woman.
I couldn't believe it. I was rocked.
She's a woman, and she's very cute. It was one of those.
Another excuse that Westerners occasionally switch genders.
Yeah, that was the other funny thing. Then immediately gives up on it, saying that I lied. I was like, that was quick. Like, I didn't know you were a lady. And he was like, I can explain and come in, and then we cut away from there. And then we go back, we find ourselves with the, as I said, scummy doctor from earlier. So, talking to an elderly gentleman saying that I need somebody to deal with this doctor and also the swordsman with this person. Again, they don't know that this doctor is a woman. I suspect, based on the fact that she's over in Japan doing her medicine thing, I think if the USA is like formed by this point, I think she's probably coming from a time period in which women weren't allowed to have occupations. That's my suspicion. I don't know. I'm pretty sure she'll explain what she's doing over here, pretending to be a dude. But I think it's quite common. But it was interesting though. Like, you know, I could tell from a mile away that was a woman, but I wasn't sure. Actually, I will say this much: I had assumed that the character was a woman when it first showed up, but then I kind of started doubting. I was like, maybe it's possible this guy is just a really kind of high feminist sounding dude. And then the shoes came off, and then I was like, oh, I was right. He almost caught me, but I was right. If she's got blonde hair and green eyes, I was like, that's just interesting. Usually it's blonde hair and blue eyes. They went for green eyes this time. So I wonder like what. I guess I wonder what type of European she is, but of course, go back to the scummy doctor. The doctor's says, I'm gonna hire a hit on this person, not knowing anything about this person. And mainly because the swordsman that was with this person was also very dangerous. He does not think that his thugs can handle him, obviously. And the elder dude brings up that, well, I have somebody just in mind for that. He really wants to fight a samurai. He opens the door, creepily, and starts spouting off all this, all this information about how he wanted to fight. He wanted to fight a really skilled swordsman. And the fact that this, swordsman is the battle side, the manslayer, really intrigues him. It's totally freaking creepy though. Like his eyes, just his hair. Apparently, he's also European. I'm guessing.
He has those like faded blue eyes. They make him look like a demon or something.
Yeah, he has no eyebrows. He's got like crow's feet. He's obviously very like, he's just creepy to me. He's got like a white suit, well not white, grayish suit with a black dress shirt and purple ties. Like he's for business and he knows what he's doing. But yeah, apparently they're hiring him for it and he's very excited. as he draws his very weirdly shaped sword out of the sheath. I could not find any place in the world where they had a sword designed like that, so I guess it's another instance of this is a very uniquely made sword for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when this episode ends, where he's like legendary man, touted as the strongest man. At this point, Kenshin's made a name for himself. And he just smiles with the sword out. I was like, okay, and that's the end of the episode. Again, I'm like, I want to watch more. Unfortunately, I can't.
I know.
Not right now.
This was a cute episode.
I mean, it was kind of like, a book note, but at the same time, it was really cool. I wasn't disappointed by any of it. It also helps that the next thumbnail for this episode has the girl in it. I'm like, yep, that saw that too. I was like, yep, that's definitely a girl, blonde hair and all. I guess we'll find out what her story is, which is gonna be interesting as well. But yeah, this is a really good episode. This show's been really good so far. I like that they went out of the way to go and give it another chance. Cause I actually want to see the actual ending to this show. I did that was planned. I can't wait. We'll get past everything that I'm well aware of. Yeah, I liked everything up to this point. It's a really good episode. I suspect after this one, yeah, whatever these next 3 episodes there are beyond the 2-part story. I wonder if Meiji 11 May 14th is like important for anything.
Oh no, it didn't.
What?
I thought the scene had an after credit scene, then I realized I was watching the beginning of the next episode by accident.
Oh no, I didn't. I would have caught it. I was paying attention.
I know, that's what I was thinking, but then it just cut right in and I was like, oh, and then I realized I always check for them and I had checked for it, but then I was thrown off for a second.
One that sword that guy had probably could have been a rapier of some sort, but it didn't. It's too thick for that type of sword. The types of swords that were used during the 1800s, were sabers and I'm not sure how you pronounce this. Pallasch. Pallasch sword. Yeah, but everything's interesting about the show. But can't wait to see what's gonna happen next. Is really all I can say. And the world's still reeling from the loss of Akira Toriyama. Oh, I just realized. Apparently, the next chapter of Dragon Ball Super is they're gonna put Dragon Ball Super on a hiatus because of the passing of Toriyama.
Really?
I don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, I just read that the next chapter after it comes out, which I'll be reading whenever it comes out. I suspected that was probably what was gonna happen. First of all, they probably want to they all want to probably grieve appropriately. Then they'll probably figure out if Akira probably put something out in the will. I honestly, and this is my honest thought on that. I guess we can talk about this as we end the podcast, but my honest thought was Toritaro was going to continue because Toriyama had picked him to succeed him in making the Dragon Ball stuff. Toritaro was the successor. Toriyama had already pretty much already put into place, I guess, the person who's going to continue drawing. But who knows? Maybe Toritaro doesn't feel right about it yet. I don't know. It's gonna be really weird because it's if they do end it where they are, Well, I mean, I guess we'll never get the conclusion to Black Frieza, but I don't think he would stop because they're already so far. I think it's probably one of those like it's possible Toriyama had probably already given him some type of like outline for how he wanted the story to progress, in case he wasn't around to see it. I suspect because I mean Toriyama had already mentioned like last year he wasn't sure how his health was gonna pan out. So it sounds like Toriyama knew that maybe he wouldn't be around much longer. Who knows? There's no telling. Can't exactly ask him. Can't just dig him up and ask, hey, did you know you were gonna die? Poor taste. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. I don't know what's gonna happen with what's gonna happen with the show. I would think that Toritaro would want to see it through. He's already in it this far. Like it'd be really disappointing if he stopped. So that the future of that is in the balance. Also, Toonami did a little bit of like a tribute to Toriyama too, apparently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He just looks stable. Where is Dragon Ball in this app? Come on. Oh wow, this next chapter before the hiatus is in 2 days. Okay. Yeah, they'll no longer be releasing, so there'll be a break. And Daima is gonna come out this year too, so we'll see how that works out. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting in the next few months as they try to I guess I sure hope that Toriyama probably left something in his will if he actually had a will to let people know his his final will and testament. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a big thing, but somewhere in there, just make mention what he ultimately wants to happen with his idea post post death. But I think ultimately, he must have told Toritaro what he ultimately what he thought and what he wanted to him, and maybe he's just trying to settle the dust there before he comes back and continues to draw for it. Because now he's the new head. He is in charge of of everything that happened in Dragon Ball now.
It's a big thing to inherit.
Well, I mean, yeah, but he was already picked by Toriyama years ago, so I mean, regardless, it's still big shoes to fill. I just hope that he's able to make a decision that he's happy with. And I personally like what's going on with Dragon Ball Super right now. It's been really getting good recently. So it's another reason I kind of wish that I hope he continues, but I also hope he does it with Toriyama's blessing at the same time. If that's what he needs. But I guess with that, gonna end it here. Next episode of review is gonna be part 2 of the Swordsman romantic story. Interesting how it's a romantic story and we ended it with a girl being revealed. Doesn't mean anything, but I just thought that was kind of funny. But I guess that we'll see you guys next week. Next week, because I think it's the week following that you're gonna be away, right?
Next
actually,
week.
it's April 8th. Yeah, we get 2 weeks before I guess you disappear, because I noticed that on the calendar you removed April 8th as a podcast.
Yeah. That's when I'm going to visit Stephanie.
So that's 2 weeks. Okay, that's good. I mean, we only got 3 episodes left, so when you go to visit, I think we won't have 1 episode left, if my math is right. My math is mathing. Next week. No, that's 2. We have 2 episodes left. I think. Is that what I said? Yeah, so there will be a cliffhanger at the resurrection of the wolf. How dare you do this to me? It's fine. It's totally fine. I just want to be that guy. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week for part 2 of this really funny story of Kenshin. Intrigue, action. Good night.
Good night.